And welcome back. Today we are gonna be taking a look at the F-4E and mostly some of the power creep as well as the compression that's been prevalent in the game as of late. Why is it so noticeable, especially at top tier? But before we dive into it, thank you to all my patrons and everyone looking to get this absolutely fantastic decal to plaster all over the vehicle. You can do so by using my 3% discount link down in the description. What should be on the top of the description actually. Let's look at something that's kind of wild. Something a viewer pointed out the other day. We have the F-4U 1A at 2.7 and the F-4U 1C at 4.7. These two planes are identical other than the guns and they differ 2 whole BRs. Then we have the F-86 F2 at 9.0 and the MiG-19 at 9.3. These two planes differ 0.3 BR. You can tell that it's the higher you go, the more compressed it is. The Viggen is now a lower BR than the F1C. The F1C isn't really that great. It's kinda terrible. The only real thing it has going for it are the Magic 2s. The radar missiles on that thing are beyond useless if the enemy has chaff. And I mean, who doesn't these days? So you get this super compressed BR range and we are flying the F-4E. And the F-4E used to be the best top tier in the game. And it was already quite ahead of the competition. Now the MiG-21 bis was basically shared spot, were pretty interchangeable, but the F-4E did have some advantages. Mainly energy retention, the Vulcan, the missiles were better, and you actually had some radar missiles. You didn't have a pulse Doppler, but that wasn't an issue, because neither did the MiG-21. The MiG-21 burns a lot of speed very quickly, it does accelerate quite well, but in today's meta, flight performance starts to matter less and less. It's all about your weapons, which is why the EJ Kai, despite it being one of the worst planes in the game, when it comes to the flight performance at 11.3, it's still pretty competitive because it has one of the best radars paired with the AIM-7Fs. So it's actually still pretty decent to fly. Then you have planes like the F-14, which have some of the best weapons in the game, and I'm not talking about the Phoenixes, while also having some of the best flight performance in the game. It's at the same BR as a lot of other planes, it's at the same BR as the F-1C. And I'm using it as an example yet again because the F-1C is simply pretty dog shit. And I think we are all aware of why this is happening. If you make the weapon the main selling point of a vehicle, that means that you can make it so that you don't have it once you're stock. It's becoming more and more annoying to stock grind, and it's also becoming more and more expensive, and you already see where this is going. It's all about making money, of course, but I think most of us were already well aware of that. But 11.3, definitely not the play. We need a much higher BR cap. The queue times are short enough. But hey, this is of course the most effective way to create flavor of the month stuff every patch. Because now you just add a plane that's better than the last one in another nation and all the wheels will flock to it. GE the vehicle to get it within 10 minutes of the patch, GE all the mods, and you make this increasingly more expensive because it's a quote-unquote higher tier, and you're just going to rake in the money. Is this any news? No, not really, but I do think it needs to be said sometimes, and Gaijin might not be very happy with me saying this kind of stuff, but I do think it needs to be said. I don't want to rant too much about the game and the bad financial reasoning and just the scummy tactics that they do sometimes, like with the SU-25 where they add it to the game and then after an hour they hire the BR. Why? It's very clear why. They want to sell it at 9.3, people want to buy it because it is 9.3, and then an hour or two later you just up the BR, and I'm completely for it. The BR of the SU-25 is probably still too low with the all aspect missiles at 9.7, but you need to change that before it actually comes out. And it was the exact same thing with the Harrier. They added at 9.3, it was 9.7 on the dev, everyone sees 9.3 on the live server, everyone flocks to it to buy it, and guess what? A few days later it is 9.7, and then a few days later after that, or a few weeks later, it's now 10.0. And it's completely fair. The planes had no business at that BR, but it's extremely scummy to publish something, make people think, oh, this is at least going to be the BR for a short while. People think they're going to buy a Seal Clubber, and all power to them, they know it's going to get nerfed in the long run, but at least they will have a purchase in the back of the mind with kind of a guarantee that it's at least going to be like that for a whole BR range change, which happens like every 2 or 3 months roughly. And then you have something like the SU-11. It sells like hotcakes and they just keep it at 7.0 and I'm still waiting for it to go up. At one point they said it's going to 7.3, it was 7.3. Then they were like, oh, we might go to 7.7, which it should be. And then they actually lower the BR again. It's absolutely fantastic how inconsistent Gaijin really is. And again, I don't like bitching about this kind of stuff every video, which is why I don't do it very often. I just want to focus on gameplay and trying to get the most amount of experience out of the game as it is. Because me complaining about it is really not gonna be changing that much. So there are people that ask me, why do you not complain about the BRs? Why do you not complain about premiums? Why do you not complain about X, Y and Z? Why? Because in the grand scheme of things it really doesn't affect that much. But I decided to fly out the F-4E for this exact reason. Because this thing used to be the old Toptier. And I was lying in bed yesterday and I was thinking to myself, I think we do need to talk about it at least a couple of times. Because I really just don't talk about it enough. I don't want to talk about it all the time and I do want to just focus on the gameplay more often than not. Because I think it's much more beneficial in the long run. Because most of the guys here, you just want to play the game, you just want to improve your game. And I mean that in a personal sense, you want to get better at it, or you just enjoy me playing it, I don't care why you are here. But me complaining about something that everyone already complains about is really not gonna be changing anything. It's just more negative content on the internet, but I do think it needs to be addressed. Because let's be honest, we are going a little bit too far, and if there are things on the horizon, like the F-16s, like the MiG-21s, or MiG-29s, I'm sorry, and it's still going to be at 11.3, I have no idea how we are still at 11.3, how the Viggen is 11.0, and yes, the Viggen is not that amazing, it's not the best vehicle in the game, by a long shot, but why the hell is that thing a lower BR than something like the F-1C? It has Magic 2s, the Viggen has a pulse Doppler, it has radar missiles that actually don't get chaffed instantly, and it has 4 missiles, the 4 AIM-9Js. It also has a pretty decent gun. All in all, it's a pretty good flight model as well. All in all, it's a good vehicle. Why is it 11.0? It has everything it needs, other than maybe all aspect missiles. Good thing he didn't team kill me. But very slowly I do want to start going for some gameplay here. We've bitched about the game for about 7 minutes and now we want to look at some actual gameplay in the background as well, because I know that some of you guys are actually here to watch the gameplay, to hear about my thought process and see what we can and can't do. And yes, those status are mine, I'm sorry, I'm upgrading soon. Here we have an F-14, he's gonna shoot an AIM-7 at us and I'm gonna be notching it. So I'm gonna keep him on my wingtip basically, preferably just behind it, because then it's going to deny him the shot. I'm gonna get him a little bit closer. I'm just waiting for him to get very, very close to us. And once we get very close, we can start dogfighting the guy. Now the F-14 has a massive advantage in the dogfight, but he's coming in very quickly. I'm going not that quick and I'm on 3 minutes of fuel. So at least I'm very, very light right now. And I just want to make sure that I position myself correctly. Now he completely bins this fight. He doesn't use his wing sweep. He doesn't position himself correctly at all. And he just ends up floating into our Vulcan. And as you can see in the chat there, and if you want to rewind it, the last Harrier that I killed, or rather the last Harrier that I set on fire and then burned up, was apparently a kill steal, even though he didn't damage it. And then he said, bro, he was on fire. Yes, I know, I was the one that set him on fire. And here we have another game in the F-4E. We have a Mirage coming at us, and it's very likely going to be a Mirage 2000. And if he shoots at us in the head-on, the 530 Super is kind of stupid. At least the one on the Mirage 2000. You can barely notch it, you can't chaff it if it's using Pulse Doppler. Once that missile leaves the rail, you are basically done. Unless you are really, really low. It's a bit like with the R-24s. But he's going head on with someone else, so I'm kind of just dragging him into my team. I don't need to contest him. It's a losing fight and I'm not going to be taking it. He gets distracted. He's now busy with someone else and I'm going to be ignoring him for now, because he is already intertwined with about 3 of my teammates. 3v1, 1 on his 6, and if he really goes for the guy that he's on, then he should die to the guy that's on his 6. He goes down and it turns out it's actually just a Mirage 3C. So that would have been a very easy kill for us, but you know, you never know, you can't tell what variant it is from range. You just want to make sure. Very often it's going to be Mirage 2000, and trust me, that's not a really good fight when you're flying this thing. We dodge the other Mirage, we go head on with the MiG-27, he's high enough to use a Sparrow, so we shove it right in his cockpit. Kill number 1. And now we look around. I know there's 2 guys on our left, and the Mirage behind us actually turned around and flew away from us, so this gives us a little bit of breathing room. And we are gonna go and contest the MiG-27 together with the MiG-23 in the clouds. They both get unspotted, and I can't find the other one, so I'm just gonna go for the MiG-27. The MiG-27 is slightly closer, and I mean, only guy I can see. I just need to get one of these out of the match. There we go. Another MiG-27 gets it in the cockpit. And now we have a little bit of an issue. We have an EJ Kai, or at least an EJ on our left, and a MiG-23 somewhere in the clouds. Where is he? We have no idea. And then he pops up. It's an MLD, and this is not a fight I am very keen on taking. So what do? We cut throttle a little bit to at least make him overshoot, but I need to make sure that I keep enough speed to stay away from the EJ. EJ then gets absolutely bullied by the F-14, and we dive out and extend away from the MiG-23. Why? Because I need some speed in me, and I need to actually be able to contest him. The MiG-14, the F-14 should survive the MiG-23 for a little bit, and I'm gonna be coming in from an off angle, making it so that he has to choose a target. The F-14, however, does kind of turn into it. He's lining up with me, which is kind of annoying, so I'm gonna break off for a little bit. And now if the MiG-23 extends from me, he should give the F-14 a lot of position on his 6. He does exactly that. We can now pull up after him, and now he has both of us on his 6. And all we need to do is make sure that he actually dies. We hold the trigger down, we miss the shots a little bit, hard time seeing him in the clouds, hard time aiming at these speeds, and I'm just not really used to the F4 Phantom anymore. But it's okay, because we have the position here to really just sit on his 6. And the F-14 is right here with us to support us. And that's the main reason I'm taking this fight. If it's one-on-one, the MiG-23 MLD is going to absolutely rinse your ass if he flies it right. Luckily for us, he's not using his actual wing controls. And he is 2v1 against the plane like the F-14. So we can just clean him up. And we are gonna go straight into the next game. Su-17 below us, not really a big threat. But there is also a guy right below us here, in the sense of an F-104. There he is, and we are gonna park it right on his 6. The issue is, get a little bit too close, and he is turning before us, so we have to do an entire loop to get behind him. Now we get a lock, but this leading circle is so low, or the cage seeker, the uncaged seeker is so small is the word, that we can't fire it instantly, because we are just gonna be wasting the shot. It's not gonna be tracking. So we wait for him a little bit longer to go a little bit more straight, and we shove it right up his engine. And here we are on Korea, the same match, a little bit later, nothing happened. I have just been flying over here, and there's 2 Mirages around, an F-14 and the boat Mirage 2000, which is going to be the main issue here, because I don't really want to go head on with them. And yes, that's more FPS lag. I need to upgrade his computer, which I will do in December. I do have pretty decent build. I have an RTX 3080, which is really good. But I also have Gen 8 i7 and very bad RAM. So I just need to upgrade it a little bit. I'm trying to make the game look good, and sometimes that it stutters. It's just kind of a trade-off. Mirage, he's above us. He can't really react to us. We lock him up. We don't have pulse Doppler, but we don't need it because there's no ground clutter. It does work against chaff, but if you don't pre-chaff a plane without pulse Doppler, that's still a very likely chance that you are going to be collecting the pipe bomb right in your mailbox. And he does so. So he goes down, and we simply go and look for the last guy. And where do you think he might be? You guessed it. He is right on the runway. Luckily we are on Korea. There's plenty of cover from all the SAM sites as well as the M247s. So we can just kind of circle him and just wait for him to present himself. We don't have the most amount of fuel, but we should have plenty. And I am running 20 minutes and only 2 Sparrows, because this thing will not be able to compete otherwise. And now the Mirage gives us his 6. Wait for the lock circle to actually go on him. We shoot it off and we instantly dip below the terrain again. And if he doesn't see that, well, bing, down goes the Mirage 2000. Mr. No, I'm not actually gonna say that. That's gonna get me demonetized. So let's go right on to the next game. And here, well, I'm trying to help this F-4E, and this F-4E just keeps running away from us. He has been doing that for about 2 or 3 minutes now. And we finally reel him in because he starts actually doing something. We lock up the Mirage, and I'm just waiting to get a little bit closer. We're not using aim-7Fs, and I'm just waiting to see what this Mirage does. And the closer we get here, the more prevalent the missile is gonna become. But I don't want this guy to die, so I shoot it off at a rather opportune time. And he's gonna be collecting it. Down goes the the Mirage 3C. He doesn't even have countermeasures. He can't really do much about that. I probably could have just used an what do you call it? An IR missile to just shoot him down right there. And now, what do we have to do? We have to fly towards the middle of the map. Okay, that's not FPS, that's me tapping out of the game. And we're just gonna cruise there. And we're not gonna cruise with afterburners, because we need to conserve some of this fuel. Because this guy has been making it almost impossible to help him, because he's in the same vehicle. And if you're trying to run away from a teammate that's just as fast as you, you're not going to get anywhere. You need to set him up at least a little bit. Otherwise, you're just delaying. And time is something that's a very valuable resource when it comes to, well, any air game, to be honest. Because tickets, fuel, all that good stuff. And top tier, it's not as important. But having to fly like 25 kilometers back is just a massive waste of time. If he had done that turn almost instantaneously, that A10 maybe wouldn't have been dead, and otherwise he would have died right now, and then we could have capitalized on it. Why do I look at him like that? Because I'm trying to see what he is carrying. He's bringing a gun pod, he's bringing all the Sparrows, he's bringing all the missiles. He's an absolute shit slap of a plane right now, which, well, all power to him, I guess. But I now know that his performance is going to be lacking, and I don't mean as a player, I mean as a plane. He's going to be extremely heavy. I'm not going to go for the Su-22 right now. He's not really priority target. I'm going to go for the MiG-21. He's busy shooting at AI, he's busy ground pounding, and he is busy being all alone on this side of the map. So I want to deal with him right now. We turn the afterburners on, we pick up a little bit of speed. Pre-flare a little bit in case it's a BIS. It is not, it's an SMT. And we are just going to go vertical for now. I don't want to go too aggressive. I just want to bring this guy up. I'm just flying straight a little bit. I'm just trying to bring this guy vertical. And now I'm going to do a little bit of a spiral. I'm not slamming the elevator. I'm just tapping my elevator key. Drop the afterburners. Pop some flares. And back up we go. We are now firmly on this guy 6. And if it wasn't for that F-4E coming in, this guy is going to do absolutely nothing to us. And look how slow he is. All we have to do now is slot on this guy 6 and just reel him in. Look how slow he is. Really, this guy has very little chance to win at this point. My missile doesn't track and his of course does. I'm not going to call it a kill steal, but I'm going to say it in the sense of that I wanted to showcase just how by the balls we had him. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to, but at the end of the day, it's probably a good thing because these two guys are coming straight in. Go ahead on with the first one. We miss our shots. Head on with the second one. Shoot for some more rounds. He's coming straight at us and we get a crit. Unfortunately, not a kill. But we should be able to turn around here. But my F-4E is out of fuel, which is kind of kicking us in the balls. Lock him up. He's too slow. He doesn't have flares. And we just go head on with the other MiG-21. And we have a lot of energy here. And he will not have a lot of energy. He's in a full up tier. There's very little this guy is doing. And why am I showing you this clip? Because it's basically just bullying people in the down tier. Because it's a little bit of a learning point. I should have killed him there and I probably should have regained my energy. The SPSK is really not a massive threat. And there's another guy coming in. We don't see him yet, but he's coming from the horizon. He's coming from the airfield. And I'm on low fuel. I can't really play this slow, so I need to kill him right here. So I need to make a decision. Do I send it for this guy and then 1v1 the last dude? Which is what we do. Unfortunately, the Su-22 is like 2 or 3 kilometers closer than I thought it would be. And we're just too slow to really do anything when we get clapped. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one.